Hello everyone, we are continuing the Bay Street walks, and we are now pretty much halfway done, and we've made it to Bay 31st Street. I am picking up the walk right after the last one. So if you notice, the weather is still gray and gloomy. I am in the same day. I literally just about 10 minutes after I finished the last walk. And we are going to now take you down the streets of Bay 31st, 32nd. Well, I got to think about this now. I think, yeah, we're on Bay 31st. Then there's Bay 32nd. There is no Bay 33rd, and then we go Bay 34th and Bay 35th. So, and we continue to look at the homes, the many different homes on all these streets. And then this right here is interesting right here. I always like coming down this block. This is very Park Slope, Sunset Park type of apartment buildings, all stacked next to each other right before you hit Bath Avenue. And these are 4 stories. These are tall buildings for this style. You have a big old pine tree, spruce, whatever. I'm good with trees, but I don't know what every tree is. I'll just say that's a pine tree. This place right here, so I'm going to talk about this place right here, All-Star Brokerage on the corner of Bath Avenue and Bay 31st Street. This used to be the office of the Daily News delivery routes. Used to come here and pay your bill. That's what it was called. You had to come and pay your bill every Saturday. You'd come in here and you would pay the bill, which was the money that you collected against the money that it costed, depending on how many newspapers you were delivering. And I would come there every Saturday to deliver, to bring the money, and then whatever you had left plus tips you kept. That was your salary. And I'm going to tell you, we'll use this, I guess, a little bit of this walk to talk about the paper route, how the paper routes used to be back in the day, because they were, they were kind of scammy. I ain't gonna lie. I'll tell you the scams I had to deal with. This, when you're a kid, it's very easy to scam a kid. And it has nothing to do with smarts or anything. It has to do with, just authority. You got to respect your adults and stuff. So whatever an adult says is true, but it wasn't always the case. So the way it works is, I don't know if it works like this anymore. I don't even know if they deliver newspapers anymore. But you get your stack of papers. And in this case, it was the Daily News. You get your stack of papers every morning at around 5:30. I would be up really early, wrapping them with the rubber bands, and then I would go out onto the route and deliver them. And then right after that, I would wash up, have breakfast, and go to school. That's the way it was. Like if you had a paper route, you were up from 5 in the morning till all the way through school. So by the time 1 o'clock came, you were trying to stay awake in class. And I was 12 years old when I got the route. I had the route for about 5 years. No, 4 years. 16, I stopped doing it. Well, when they would deliver your papers on Wednesdays, you would get the Sunday comic what is called the comic wraps. So on Sundays, you would get your newspaper inside the comic wrap. But those comic wraps came on Wednesday, right? So they would come and deliver your Sunday wraps on Wednesday. And then on Sunday, you would have to insert it in the morning and then deliver them. But when they delivered that Sunday wrap, they sent you your bill for the previous week. And the way it worked was you had to pay, you meaning the paperboy, had to pay them per newspaper or per customer you were delivering to. And it was a fraction of the cost of the Daily News. Back then, I think it was like a quarter. So you'd probably pay them, I think it was like 12 cents or 13 cents, and you'd keep 13 cents per newspaper. The problem, though, and this was the scam that it would always happen, and we all knew it was a scam, but, you know, how are you going to question authority, right? They're the adults. They know better than us. But we would get, also with the bill, on Wednesdays, we would get a new subscriber list. And what that list was new customers. So they would deliver maybe 5 or 6 extra newspapers that you had to pay for these new customers. As it would turn out, a lot of times you would deliver the paper, and then when you go collect on Thursday, they would say, well, I never ordered the paper. I'm not paying for it. So now you're out for all those newspapers. And then you bring your money in for your bill, and you're out that money. This used to happen all the time. It was annoying because you would lose money. And we used to say to the guys, you know, who's making these calls? Like, who is subscribing for these newspapers? How are you getting these customers? And they would never tell us. So it would eat into our profit all the time. The other thing that we would have, the other problem we would have is people just not paying. I can't tell you how many times you'd go collect and, come back next week. Eventually what I would do is I would kick them off my route. And then they would complain that they didn't get the paper. I said, well, you haven't paid for like 3 weeks. I'm not going to deliver a newspaper to you if you don't pay. And that's how you would get the money. And then you'd start delivering the paper again to them. And then anything extra was, you got tips when you went and collected, and you get to keep that. And then the best time of year was Christmas. They would give you Christmas tips. So you would get, you get like, some people would drop you $20. Some people, like, that had money, they'd give you like $50. That was the paper route business. I said I don't want to sound like that person. So yeah, I hope I didn't bore you all with my little paperboy story. And some more of these older style houses. There's still a lot of old houses on these blocks. And that is the Bay Parkway train station right above us. Up there. This place right here, this is a really good place to come if you want to get some work clothes, boots, jackets, jeans, denim. Yeah, they've been around for a while. It's called the Brooklyn Dungaree Warehouse. And this is on the corner of 86th and Bay 31st. Alright, we are going to now make our way up 832nd Street. And let's see what side we're going to walk on. I guess we'll walk on the other side. Looks like there's more older homes on that side than there are on my right side. So we got some people doing some work. All right, we're back. There was somebody walking up right behind me really fast. And, you know, out here in Brooklyn, you gotta watch yourself. So I didn't kind of appreciate. So something had happened off camera. I'll tell you what happened. I was walking across the street. And then at some point I realized that there was a person that had been behind me was now in front of me and then walked slow to get behind me again and then was walking fast up behind me. And I stopped and I kind of turned around and faced him, and he then just sped off. Now, I don't know, I'm not saying he was going to do anything, but I have that look. You know, I'll give you that look like, you know, I ain't a nice little puppy, so that's why I cut that all out. It was nothing to see anyway. He just wound up moving along his way, and that was the end of that. This neighborhood is safe. This is a safe neighborhood. It's typically a safe neighborhood. You don't have to worry about things like that. But you still got to keep your guard up. I always say this. I tell people this all the time. The most dangerous neighborhood is any neighborhood where you let your guard down. I don't care what neighborhood you're in. You could be in a safe neighborhood. And it could turn out to be a dangerous neighborhood if you're not watching yourself. I'm going to recenter the camera here because we had a little bit of a camera issue, and there we go. That is a long blinker. I'll make it across the avenue. There's a nice big home over there. Look at that over there, that house across the street up there. You got that patio cut out in the corner. So you got like a room, and then off to the side there's like a little corner patio. That's interesting. I've never seen anything like that. It looks like at one time it was just a patio, right? And then they added that wall and made a room. And then they left that corner alone, I guess. But look at these windows. These are interesting windows. In the middle part of the house. It is quiet. This is a quiet block. You can hear my feet. Gotta send the kids to do his laundry.
Why did you fall out?
Now on this next block, we got some really old houses right across from this lot, right next to the lot actually. A four-way stop sign over here. It's Bath Avenue. Across the street you have like these homes that all look the same. And we'll look at those in a second, but at this house just looks really old. If it feels like the streets between Bath and Cropsey are feel shorter, that's because in some spots they are, and that's just the way what's happening is if you look at the map of Bath Beach, you'll notice those are the homes I was talking about, by the way. They're all the same on the other side. As you get down this area, the streets start to kind of go on an angle, and they shorten the length of the Bay Streets as you get closer and closer to the 40s, the Bay 40s. We're already on Cropsey Avenue. You got that new high-rise that went up. Got a couple of new high-rises that went up right here. There's this one right here to my right. And then this one coming into view on my left. So we continue to go south. We started on Bay 7th Street and we will be going all the way to the last official Bay Street, which is Bay 54th, which is really the street that leads you into Home Depot. Right now, we are crossing 23rd Avenue. And if you want to get specific, we are also crossing into Gravesend. Although for the spirit of the Bay Streets, we'll keep this as Bath Beach. And then starting the next walk we do, we will say we're officially in Gravesend, but we are in Gravesend right now. We're about to hit Bay 34th Street. Down here, Cropsey Avenue is a two-lane. It's a two-way, two-lane. It's almost like a parkway. It's like a Bay Parkway. So the traffic down here is pretty busy. And when we get to the next Bay Street over, when we get down 86th Street, that one's probably going to be a little bit of a longer walk, because I believe we can end the walk on Shore Parkway. So if you've ever wondered what's on these Bay Streets, if you don't live in the neighborhood, and mostly what I do is I will walk the major avenues. We'll do like long distance walks, 3-mile walks. And we'll always pass by these streets and not see what's on them. And now we are walking through those streets. And maybe you live on one of these streets, or maybe at one time you lived on one of these streets, so you get to see your street on YouTube. There's some more newer condos that went up that are for sale. Some of them are for sale. Looks like some have been bought and some have not. Now these condos, I'll tell you, I've seen some of the prices of some of these condos and they're ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So old house right here. Still got a lot of land. And I would imagine at some point, if this house gets sold, they'll knock it down and put condos. But this block has a lot of these houses with these extended patios up on the top, on the second floor. I was saying the prices of some of these condos are just absolutely ridiculous. And I'll tell you, there's one particular condo building that stands out, and it's on 17th Avenue between Cropsey and Bath. And the going prices when they were selling those were $850,000. That's right, $850,000 for a condo. And just, yeah. Like I was saying a couple of walks ago when I talked about the renting the apartments, if you're going to buy a condo for $850,000, you might as well just start a property portfolio. Use the $850,000. Obviously, you don't have the $850,000 on you, but you're using the loan. You might as well just buy a few houses for like, $250,000, $300,000. I mean, those condos were as much as some of these houses are. Some of these houses come in at like $850,000, $1 million. He's running. And there's just a lot of old houses on this block. We'll cross over and we'll pass by some even more. This is an old home right here on the corner. I'll just stay in the street, give you a better look. And across the street over here on the corner of Benson Avenue and Bay 34th, you got this nice colonial style house. It's a nice home. Looks like it doesn't belong here, right? It just comes out of nowhere. So you can see, if you've been watching since Bay 7th, you can see how different each block is when it comes to housing. The configuration and each block is just so different even within the block. Investigate that noise. I heard the phone ring and made me think about something. We had this is a Navy story, quick Navy story. We had our first captain on. So I was on a ship named the USS Decatur, and it was a new ship. So we were what you call plank owners. We were the first crew of the ship. At a certain point, I was living up in Maine, Bath, Maine, where they build the ships. So before we moved onto the ship, they were building it, so we lived up there. And we worked out of an office building. But anyway, he was our first captain. If I'm getting his name right, it was Commander Nolman. And anyway, we were up on a bridge, and sometimes the phone would ring up there, the bridge phone. And if it rang more than 3 rings, if it got to the 3rd ring, he'd turn around and he'd look at the closest person to him and he'd be like, investigate that noise. yeah, when I heard that lady's phone, or whenever I hear a phone, I hear him say that, investigate that noise. I always hear it. And it didn't matter what your station was or where you were up on the bridge. If he just happened to look at you and say that, you better go answer that phone. I think he used to do that to have fun, because he would always, whenever it happens, he would look at a different person. And I think he just wanted to make a different person each time answer the bridge phone. Across the street, there's some interesting homes. This is an interesting home over here. This bluish gray type of house. Oh, this is a busy traffic street here. Yeah, like 5 cars coming down here. All right, let's try this again. This is the house I was talking about. And there's a few houses, row houses over here. I want to look at that look. Like they have some color to them. The American flag, and Chinese New Year is coming up. We'll go out there for Chinese New Year. I think I gotta look at the date, but it's coming up. But down in Chinatown in Manhattan. The last time I did it was, I have a video we did with the GoPro. If you go back to 2020, I think it was March of 2020. They had in Chinatown, they had a Chinese New Year celebration with the dragons. That happened the week before the COVID lockdowns. Just to even think, like a week before that, when that took place, it was a week before. We had no idea it was about to take place a week later. All right, we are gonna get across this as soon as this car passes me. We are walking past PS 101. We like to call this the Verrazano School. Now, if I wanted, I could finish all the Bay Streets today. I could, seriously, but I've just realized that all of these walks we've done since after Bay 7th, the Bay 7th to Bay 11th walk, it has been cloudy. We have not seen any sun. So I'm going to wait until the sun comes back out, and I don't know when that's going to happen. But it will happen eventually. And the sun is trying to come out right now. It is trying to get sunny right now. It is bright out, but no blue sky. Get that patio with that square cutout. Across the street, got some detached homes. I'm gonna be honest with you, I've never walked down this block before. So we're getting into the Bay streets that I've never walked down. I've walked down most of them, especially the Bay 40s, but this one I haven't walked down. So we are all looking at this for the first time if we've never been here. If you haven't been here, I know I haven't. Eventually we will hit where the bus depot is, and there's a one street over where the bus depot is that you cannot walk down, which is closed, and that's over here on Bath Avenue. It's not too far from us because we'll eventually get there. And we will cross here. Bay 35th Street. As a matter of fact, I believe we're going to run into it on this walk. I'm not sure. We'll see. Because now we're getting into territory where Harway Avenue is. But we will be going to Bay 37th. A very famous person lives on Bay 37th. Do you know who? I don't know exactly what house he lived in, but I know he lived on Bay 37 because he did an interview years ago when he was still alive. And he talked about how he grew up in this neighborhood. He called this neighborhood Bensonhurst. It really is not Bensonhurst. And he had also mentioned that his favorite place to go grab some pizza was at Lenny's. Who am I talking about? A lot of people don't know. I'll let you know when we get to Bay 37th. And we're hitting Cropsey Avenue. Now, if anybody knows who I'm talking about before you get there, I don't know exactly what house he lived in because he never mentioned it, and I've never heard from anybody that might be old enough to know. So yeah, I won't be able to tell you, hey, this is his house, but he lived on Bay 37. I know I'm annoying people now. They're like, who's he talking about? You're going to have to wait. Okay, so Bay 37. So this is where it gets interesting. Can I go up and through? I don't know if I'm going to be doing that. We're going to stay. What we're going to do is we're just going to stay over here. And for that reason, let's see. I'm trying to see if we could. We can actually. So we are going to do it. So here we go. We're going to continue on. Across Cropsey. You can see it's a panes across this. It's like a big... It's like a parkway. But this is a very short little route here. We're going to hit Shore Parkway, and then we'll walk along Shore Parkway until we get over to Bay 37. And then to our right, when we get over here, to our right is a dead end. There's the dead ends I was talking about. And that is because of the exits along this side of the Bell Parkway. When they come off of the road, they have to obviously cut through the streets, so they close off the streets. You eventually hit a dead end. I just pulled my battery pack out, so we were running on the battery power, and it looks like it is charged up pretty well. Got this big building here right to my left. This is, you get into this area, you start hitting these high-rise towers down here in Gravesend. And then right over here is more like, it's not a through street, it's really like a parking lot street. We'll see in a second. I always look at these trees, they've never removed these trees, so let's back up a little bit here. These trees are just smack in the middle of the sidewalk. Okay? They've never removed them. And then there's like a little dirt patch and then the sidewalk again, so it's odd, I'll tell you that. And you can see this street here, we're now on Bay 37th, is like a parking lot up here. Now we got to make our way back across this big Cropsey Avenue. Three lanes I gotta cross. I gotta cross Cropsey, and then I gotta cross Harway. Now we're gonna be ending the walk pretty quick because there is no Bay 38th up here. There is over there, but it's such a small street that we're not gonna go to it. And the reason is Bay 38th for one block is the bus depot. They basically control that street. It's gated off. You can't walk down the block over there, and well, you'll see when we end the walk later. And interestingly enough, this is a long walk. This is if I'm reading this right, it's coming up at 46 minutes. So by the time we finish, we're gonna have like an hour here, huh? So we still gotta walk all the way down to 86th Street. Looks like you got some auto repair places over here. I gotta watch this guy as he's coming out. There is nothing on this block. There is just, you got the school across from me. And what you have next to me on this side is the bus depot. You see that? It's all those buses are right next to me. A lot of buses in here. You're just walking by a whole bunch of park buses. Let me put my camera up a little bit. You should be able to see them. It's like a buffer fence. You got two fences. You got one fence, then a buffer, and then you got the fence with the barbed wire. But that's what's to my right here is the part of the bus depot. Alright, I got the light for Beth Avenue, so start seeing some houses again. Alright, so earlier I was saying somebody famous lived on Bay 37th Street. According to himself, in an interview he stated that he grew up here. Well, I don't know if he grew up here totally like his whole life, but I know he was living here for a long time with his parents. Carl Sagan, the famous scientist, astronomer, he lived on Bay 37th Street. I don't know exactly what house he lived in, though. He didn't disclose that. Maybe somebody knows. You got a lot of these small, interesting style, like block houses here on this block. Now, when I said the early, right now the time on my counter is 50, going on 51 minutes of this walk. Remember, that doesn't account for the little tidbit what I cut out earlier. So, even though I'm looking at my screen and it says 51 minutes, it might be shorter on your screen. And that's because we had edited out about 30 seconds, I believe. But this is a longer walk than normal. These streets are long down here. And remember, we had to get through Cropsey Avenue. They will shorten up once we get down there. You can see, it's hard to see from here, but you can see That is where the Stillwell Avenue cuts through. We'll be passing by my old high school, Lafayette, eventually. Lafayette High School. We'll probably be over by Dewey. John Dewey High School. But we are getting close to the ends of these Bay Streets. I will never do this again. The walking is not a problem. I enjoy the walking. This is what I do. I mean, I walk instead of going for my hikes, my normal hikes. I just change it for street scenery. But doing this whole string of Bay Streets, I think, is pretty interesting. And then we will eventually finish, and that'll be that. We may find ourselves walking down one of these Bay Streets in the future. You know, maybe we're doing a walk in the rain or something, but that'll be it as far as future walks down the Bay Streets. Alright, we are coming up on 86th Street. I got the firehouse across from us. Engine Company 253 across the street. And on to the last street for this walk is Bay 38th. This is another street I've never walked down, so I've never been down on Bay 38th Street. Looks like a lot of big homes were torn down because there's a lot of big condo units down here. Smells like a laundromat. There must be a laundromat over here. Probably walked right by it on 86th Street and didn't even realize it. Oh, this is interesting. I'm going to get across the street. So right after these condo units, we could call these fetter boxes because I could see some of the conditioning units that don't have an air conditioner still have the fetter cover on them. But what I noticed coming up the block is these buildings right here. These are interesting looking. They're like miniature 2-story brick houses, or some of them got aluminum siding on the front. They're like miniature. I don't even have to point my camera up to get them all in the frame. And then here at the end, we have a 3-story. 3 floors. I don't know if that would be considered 3 stories or 2 stories. I gotta straighten out my camera. There we go. Sometimes the gimbal gets stuck. And if I don't catch it in time, we've got a camera angle that I'm not really aiming at, but so this is going to be it here, this last street, because we are going to run right into the bus depot. And we are officially in the Gravesend section, no longer in Bath Beach. And we are getting close to the end. Close to the ends of all these walks. We will starting in the next walk, we'll be in the 40s. Now, some of those Bay Streets I have been down, but not all of them. So it'll be more Bay Streets that I will get to see for the first time. Now today was scheduled for my nice long hike. I was going to do a nice long hike, and I said, well, you know what? Instead of taking a long hike on a long stretch, like one stretch, I was going to do it on the bike path. I decided that we'll just walk some streets, and it'll eventually come out to the same distance I wanted to do today. I wanted to do 8 miles today, so when you count walking to the area, walking through the area, and walking out of the area, it should come out to about 8 miles today. So get my 8 miles of walking in today at some point. With a break for lunch. I'm going to stop and grab some lunch. I feel like pizza, so I'll probably do some pizza. Looks like this house is getting some nice renovations. But yeah, I want to thank everybody for once again taking the walk. At one point, if you lived on these streets, you got to see your neighborhood, what it looks like. It might look different to you. And then some people might live on these streets that are watching. And then there's just me, who is, just trying to get some content going through in the winter months. And we decided to pick a spot, and this is where we're walking. And this is where it ends. So this is what I was telling you about. Bay 38th continues, but not for public consumption. It's for the bus depot. It's a throughway for the bus depot. And it says up there, I'll read the sign. It says, no through traffic, transit authority, and emergency vehicles only. There you go. We are ending the walk. So I want to thank everybody for tagging along. We will start hitting the 40s, and very soon we'll be finished, because as we get to the ends of these streets, and as they get shorter, we'll probably just knock out a whole bunch of them in like one walk at a certain time. So anyway, everyone take care, and we will catch you on the next one, and hopefully it'll be sunny. Take care.